Hello, my name is Aaron Bondi. Did you want to watch the new Justice League movie? And did you not want to watch the old one? Well, this is the video for you. If you watched Justice League, the Snyder Cut, then this video is the perfect video for you. Justice League 2017 was a disappointment to many, but some people liked it, and some people wanted to know just how different it was from the Snyder Cut. So I figured I'd make a video stating the differences between the two. Now, warning, there will be spoilers for both movies, so if you want to go in completely unspoiled, then do not watch this video, press that save for later button, and come back to it. But if you just want to watch the Snyder Cut and you don't want to have to go back and watch the 2017 version, because I went and watched it, and to watch both, it's like 6 hours long, so just watch this video if you don't want to. Alright, this is my video for the differences between Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League, aka Justice League 2017 and the Snyder Cut. The beginning of the film. Justice League begins with the phone footage of Superman with the bad lip CGI, and there was also a stylized roof fight with the burglar and the parademon, if you remember. Superman, and there's also Superman's funeral during the credits. Now, in Zack Snyder's cut, there was a stylized slow motion of the events from Batman vs. Superman, with Superman's yell heard round the world, as well as the Mother Cube in Cyborg's room beginning to move, the Kryptonian ship that Luthor was in show him a hologram of Steppenwolf in the cubes. The yell still being heard around the world affects the people in Atlantis, as their cube starts to shake, as well as the Amazons in their cube. A man rides a horse in the snowy Alps, and the credits read, Chapter 1 pops up. This man is Bruce Wayne. Justice League Part 1, even though there were not parts in the original Justice League. The first scene in this one is after the credits. There's a hostage sequence, and then there's Bruce Wayne meets with Aquaman. Well, in the Snyder Cut, the Aquaman scene went first, so we're going to go by the timeline of the Snyder Cut. Bruce Wayne goes to visit Aquaman to convince him to join the team. The scene is longer in this version, and they are speaking in Icelandic, as well as there's a slightly different edit on the film. There's less CGI, and it's a little bit more broodier, but it's also funnier in some ways. And when Aquaman swims away, like I said, there's less CGI. Like, you don't see him swim away, and you don't see, like, the bubbles like you did in the original. And there was a singing scene in Icelandic where the locals were singing. Martha visits Clark's grave while driving a U-Haul. This is because her house was foreclosed on because she couldn't afford to pay the bills. Bruce meets with Alfred at an airport where Bruce tells him that Aquaman rejected his offer to join the team. And then in this one, Lois goes to a coffee shop when it's raining. She walks through the street with an umbrella carrying the coffee, and then she gives the coffee to a police officer. All three of those most recent scenes that I said were not in the original one. There's some scenes that aren't in the original but are in the Snyder Cut, and there's some scenes that aren't in the Snyder Cut but are in the original. The heist begins similarly enough in the original. The score is much more noticeable. In the original, it was scored by Danny Elfman, but in this one, it was scored by Junkie XL. The gathering of the hostages is longer. Most scenes in the movie are always longer. The villains, the hostages, the starting of the bomb scene is similar as well as Diana's interrogation. Altered camera angles and bringing back of Wonder Woman's score. Diana jumps out of the building to get rid of the bomb as well as throw it. In the original, she just threw it up in the air and got rid of it that way. This way, it's slightly more believable with her character that she jumped and then threw it. The villain aims unknowingly an empty gun at the hostages, so he has to grab an AR, and then that makes the scene longer. So Wonder Woman has to get in front of the hostages to make sure they don't shoot her. And that happened in the original as well. And then Diana also making sure the hostages were okay. In this one, it goes straight to the scene of Amazonian fight with Steppenwolf, as you can see down here. But there's still an exposition dump with Bruce Wayne, where he shaves on a plane with Alfred and talks about the Flash and Cyborg, which that is still in here. It's just later on down the line. Barry Allen goes to meet with his dad and draws glasses on a rude guy. The draws glasses on a rude guy did not happen in this version, but where he meets with his dad happens way later on in the film. Silas goes to meet with Victor Stone. That's a little bit later on, and it's not quite how it is in the original. But yeah, the Amazonian queen goes to where they are storing the mother's box. The box suddenly stops making noise, then dies again. More dialogue that wasn't originally there before Steppenwolf arrives. Steppenwolf has much better CGI and looks more evil, as his audio sounds less muffled and sounds more sinister in this version. The parademons look better as well. There's more blood and violence in the scene than the original, and there were alternate fight scenes that were longer. There were more slow motion shots, and a character who was not emphasized in the original meets her demise, so that way it gives you more depth and character development. The entire area that held the box falls off the cliff and the area sinks. That was not in the original. It was just they were kind of trapped there, and then Steppenwolf bursted out. The parademons and Steppenwolf burst out of the water and track down the women who have the box and fight them. They lasso Steppenwolf up and shoot him with arrows, and it only slows him down. The scene is mainly the same, just slightly extended until Steppenwolf leaves, where they talk about lighting the fire to let the people know that there is an invasion. This is the start of part 2, and there were still some more scenes that we haven't got to that were already passed in the original cut. Steppenwolf puts the first box in the shard and talks about he will be pleased. The he we will get to later. Bruce Wayne is shaving on a plane. That's the exposition dump that we're getting to now, where he asks about that kid from the liquor store. Alfred tells him that there's a possible lead. There was a facial recognition hit for Barry Allen of Central City. Similar scene as in the original, just with altered dialogue and longer. Alfred asks, is it even worth finding these people based on something that Lex Luthor had said in Batman vs. Superman? But Bruce explained that it was about a promise that he made to Superman. The main difference in the scene was Cyborg was not brought up, but in the original he was. We see Silas say hello to a janitor. We see a scene play out that was only hinted at in the original. In the original, it was just a scene of the janitor opening a room door, but he has an encounter with a parademon. The Amazonians, in an extended sequence with an extended dialogue, light the fire to warn Diana about the threat. Other than extra dialogue, the scene is pretty much the same as it was in the original cut, with Diana finding out on the TV. Silas is shown at Star Labs meeting with Ryan, who is a completely new character in this movie, where they talk about what happened the night before with the janitor. They talk about the missing artifact and for a little bit, and then Silas shows the Kryptonian ship to the investigators to show that he has clearance and whatnot. The attack victim, who was in quarantine, gave a drawing of the creature and showed it to Silas. Silas went home and told Cyborg that the box was not safe at the house. The scene is shorter than in the original, and the scene where he's talking to Cyborg, that is. And there's a reference to Silas creating monsters. And in the Snyder cut, it's referring to Cyborg. But in the original, when Cyborg said monsters, it was referring to Silas and not Cyborg. Alright, then in Justice League, it went, Lois talks to Martha about Martha's house being foreclosed on and Clark being gone. This was at the Daily Planet, but this scene is missing from the Snyder Cut. Victor finds out Bruce and Alfred have been tracking him. This scene is pretty much gone too. Diana talks exposition to Bruce about Steppenwolf and the mother boxes with flashback sequences featuring a Green Lantern. Bruce Wayne meets Barry Allen and discusses joining in the fight. Diane's try to learn more about Cyborg when he hacks into the computer and talks to her through messages, where he tells her to meet him on the street and she tries to convince him to join her. Aquaman saves a fisherman from drowning who talks of aliens and monsters, which causes him to go to Atlantis to investigate. Meanwhile, Steppenwolf arrives in Atlantis to retrieve the Mother Cube. Aquaman and Steppenwolf fight. Mara tells Aquaman that it is his responsibility to fight for the Mother Cube. In the Snyder Cut, the part 2 continues with Diana going to the fire shrine, picking up the arrow, and she makes a torch and goes down to the tunnels to place the arrow. And then whenever she places the arrow, the door to the room opens, and there's a bunch of hieroglyphics. And it tells her basically the story of what's going on. There's a fisherman whose boat is sinking, but Aquaman saves him. And this scene uses different shots. It doesn't have CGI because in the original, or as much CGI because Aquaman in the original came out of the water and saved him, and you don't see him come out of the water. You just see him on the boat. The fisherman doesn't tell about the demon or about the parademons this time. The scene of Arthur going into the ocean is extended, and Arthur swims around underwater. Vulko meets with Arthur underwater to talk to him, as he believes he is the rightful ruler, and Vulko convinces Arthur to check out Atlantis to try and protect the Mother Box. Steppenwolf has a conversation with the Master's minion, Desaad, and talks of how the world is divided. They reveal that they are working for Darkseid. Diane tells Bruce that the invasion is here, and in a much extended sequence with flashbacks, tells him about Steppenwolf and Darkseid and the Mother Boxes. In the original, Darkseid was not mentioned at all. Darkseid was not featured in the original Justice League. In the flashback, we see Darkseid and the power he possesses. She explained that the boxes were turned together to turn the world into that what their enemies wished it would be. The flashback sequence is longer and has alternate takes. You see a Green Lantern with a better look at his face. In the original, it was just a CGI blur. Darkseid violently kills the Lantern, cutting off his hand. You see a lot of blood. Darkseid gets injured during the fight and is carried back to the ship, and the army retreats. The boxes were left on Earth, so that means men who were one of the armies, Atlanteans and Amazons, all hid their boxes. They had to get, and then Bruce says that they had to get ready to look for the others. It's now part 3. A truck rolls into town, revealing to be Central City. Barry Allen is late for a job interview where he runs into Iris West. He apologizes for being late. Iris has trouble starting her car. Barry's resume is messed up, and it's basically a scene played mostly for comedy with his resume. The truck driver ended up dropping his sandwich and blows through a stop sign. Iris runs into the truck when she finally gets her car started, and she wasn't wearing her seatbelt because she had such a hard time getting her car started that Barry runs to help her. She's falling mid-air, and he helps her float to the ground safely and softly. She sees his face, and he runs off back to his interview where he is seen playing with dogs because his interview was for a dog walker position. The parademons capture some Atlanteans and bring them to Steppenwolf and interrogate them. Steppenwolf throws one of them against a rock where blood is shown. The Atlantean says he won't tell, but Steppenwolf has a device to show the location from his memories. Lois is seen going through some of Clark's stuff. Diana goes through the footage that they have of Arthur where Bruce says he already tried to convince him to join them, but he said no. They look at footage of Barry and Cyborg. Diane says to Bruce that he handled Barry and that she would handle Cyborg. Cyborg looks out the window to see kids playing football, which inspires a flashback of him playing football as a quarterback and as a high schooler. It is mentioned that he is smart and athletic, and that he hacked into the school system to change the grades of a friend who was having a rough time. There are more scenes of him playing football and running it in to score a touchdown. In the flashback sequence where he won the game, he was upset because his father couldn't make it to the game. His mother was driving them home, and they got T-boned by a vehicle, and his mother died, and he almost died. His dad explained that Victor could still have a life, and his father, Victor, who he's still mad at, left a tape for him that says that he can be greater, what he can be is greater than physical strength. It shows a montage of him flying and being able to hack into things. His cyborg abilities can make him super smart, and if he uses it wisely, can be powerful and helpful. Cyborg uses his powers later on to hack into an ATM to give a poor single mother money. Barry meets with his father in prison, who is in prison for falsely killing Barry's mother. His father wants Barry to not worry about getting a bunch of jobs to have money to get a degree to free him. He said this is seen as similar as it is in the original. It is just explained better in this version. The scene where Bruce meets Barry in Barry's apartment is a very similar scene to the original, with only minor differences in dialogue. Some dialogue is skipped out entirely. Diana and Arthur are in a bat cave, where he shows her the solar bat arm that dissipates energy. Diana decides to go on the computer, and someone tells her to meet at a certain location now. When Diana goes on the street to meet him, Cyborg flies in, and he asks what she wants, and she tells him that she wants his help in saving the world. Virtually no difference, only minor dialogue in the scene, and an F-bomb is dropped. That is one of the main differences, because there were none in the original. Cyborg buries the cube that was in his apartment. Silas is shown by Ryan a metal sample from the Kryptonian ship that has a high heat signature. Ryan asks if Silas thinks Batman is connected to the missing object. Silas arrives at the apartment that is Victor's, and he is met by a parademon. In the scene where it's the heat signature, it's because they hit it with a heat blast or a laser blast, and the heat signature was one of the hottest things on Earth. Commissioner Gordon is at Gotham Police Station, where he receives a bunch of messages. The messages said that they were attacked by a flying monster. Silas was taken to the harbor, where a bunch of people were kidnapped. Bruce and Barry arrive at Gotham on a plane where they meet Diana. They see that the bat signal, I believe that this scene was the exact same as in the original. In the next scene, we see a bunch of Atlanteans protecting the Mother Box. Steppenwolf shows up to take the Mother Box and fight the Atlanteans. He starts choking Mara, who escapes by draining blood out of Steppenwolf's body. Aquaman steps in, and Steppenwolf about kills Mara in the two fight. Steppenwolf, during the fight, grabs the box and takes a portal out of there. Mira said that it was his mother's job to protect the Mother Box, and that it's his responsibility to do so now. Cyborg sees that his apartment was ransacked, so he looks up to the sky and sees the bat signal and decides to go to the place where the bat signal is. Steppenwolf now puts a second cube in there, and he talks with Darkseid and tells him he is searching for the third box, and Desaad tells him to interrogate the other prisoners. In part 4 of this movie, on the original, alien monsters and Steppenwolf arrive at a village where he puts the first two cubes in the shard. In the original one, he just put both cubes in at the same time. Gordon talks about the kidnappings at Star Labs and says that the culprits look like Batman. and that he will talk to him later. Bruce and Barry meets with Diana, and they go to the rooftop of the police station to meet with Gordon. Cyborg shows up at the rooftop, where they explain the sightings at the tunnel and the harbor. They go to the tunnels where Steppenwolf is interrogating the kidnappers. The group gets in a fight while Barry tries to save people. Diana fights Steppenwolf. The harbor blows, and Aquaman shows up to slow the water down to save the group from drowning. Cyborg found the last mother box because it was at Star Labs, and his father was working on it and how Cyborg got his powers. When learning about the powers of the mother box, Bruce suggests that they bring back Superman. Diane says that the power cannot be controlled, but they decide to do it even if he may not be the same. Bruce and Alfred talk about the ramifications of the decision, and they implement noise technology into his suit. The location of the mother box is slightly different in the original versus the Snyder cut, because it doesn't explicitly show it in his house in the original. In the Snyder cut, Jim Gordon is waiting for the Batman to show up on the roof to the police station. Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash are on the roof, and Gordon shows them the Parademon sketch. Cyborg shows up and tells them that another person was kidnapped. It is the only slightly different than the original. The group flies in the tunnel and finds a bunch of badges from Star Labs. The score is noticeably different here. Steppenwolf is interrogating and asking them where the mother box is. Silas tells him that the guy does not know, and Steppenwolf could tell that Silas knew because he could smell the mother box on him. Once Steppenwolf is about to attack Silas, Cyborg attacks Steppenwolf to protect his dad. Wonder Woman protects Cyborg. Wonder Woman then fights the Parademons and Steppenwolf. It's different action sequences. Flash and Cyborg help some of the people escape, but Flash is more. There's more stuff with the Flash and more stuff with Cyborg helping people. Batman uses his energy gauntlets that he made, or that he and Alfred made, and Batman uses an air vehicle to fight Steppenwolf and Steppenwolf tries to get in it. Diana drops her sword, and the Flash helps her get it just like in the original. Wonder Woman knocks back Steppenwolf. Cyborg has a moment where he and his father acknowledge that he came back. Cyborg gets in the vehicle and attacks Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf portals out of the tunnel. The harbor explodes, and Aquaman arrives to calm the water as to not drown everyone. The group climbs out of there in the vehicle. Steppenwolf goes to the base where the other cubes are and presses one of the spaces and has a vision. Silas is told he is under quarantine because he was kidnapped by aliens. Cyborg shows up with the last box to the rest of the group. Desaad and Steppenwolf have a discussion. The thing that Darkseid is looking for, the anti-life equation, is on Earth. Steppenwolf bows to Darkseid, and Darkseid said he would come to Earth once the final box is found. The group is impressed with the Batcave, and there is a big airship that cannot fly, but Cyborg thinks he can fix it. The group tries to figure out what to do. Barry suggests that they destroy it, which Cyborg says isn't possible. Arthur insinuates that Cyborg is working with Steppenwolf. Cyborg tells a story through flashbacks of how the box was originally found. The Nazis dug it up in World War II, but was eventually brought back to the United States after the war was over. It was kept in storage for 70 years, but when the Kryptonian ship was found years later, Silas brought it out because they were both alien technology. And that Cyborg said that the box conforms to whatever its master wants it to do. That is how he was brought be able to have his powers, and that so everybody was thinking it, and then finally Cyborg shows a picture of Superman, insinuating that they can bring back Superman with his box. Martha goes to visit Lois Lane. but she says she went to pick up Clark's things from the Daily Planet and that she lost her house. Martha went to talk to her because she had not been to work since Clark died. Lois says she can't love anyone like Clark and that she misses him so much, except that wasn't Martha, it was a green alien. Cyborg says that they may be able to bring him back, but they don't know enough about his biology. They realize that the boxes and Steppenwolf are afraid of Superman. Cyborg and the Flash dig up Superman. The group sneaks into the Kryptonian ship where they put him in the healing liquid, and they have to change the box. Charge the box. So Flash runs and charges the box. Superman is now resurrected. He doesn't remember anything, so he fights the group, and then when Lois arrives, he flies off with her. This is the scene with the really bad lip CGI. Bruce and Diana talk about leadership in the original one, and Lois and Clark talk about him coming back. And there's more bad lip CGI. Lois tells Clark in this version that he needs to fight and be with the group. In this one, there's whenever they exhume the body of Clark Kent, there is more jokes, and then Cyborg says that Cyborg and Barry are exhuming the grave, and basically Barry's saying like how pretty Wonder Woman is, and if asks Cyborg if he thinks that she would date a younger guy, and Cyborg basically said, well, she's old, so yeah, all the guys would be younger for her. And Alfred said that Bruce brought the team together, and the reason he's wanting to bring back Superman is because of guilt. But that's not going to stop Bruce, so the group loads the body in the vehicle. Silas is free to go because alien bacteria was not found in him. Flash dresses up in military attire to sneak in, and Cyborg hacks into the system to let him in. They bring the casket in, and Cyborg hacks the system to make it a code red. Silas found out it wasn't a legitimate code red, so he radioed someone, but once he saw Victor, he said that it was actually a code red. They bring Superman's body to the room that Doomsday was created in. Lois is shown in her apartment getting out of bed, grabbing her reporter ID. There was also a pregnancy test in the drawer, which made me curious. Is she pregnant in this timeline? I'm not sure. I guess if there's ever a sequel, we'll find out. Aquaman took Superman's body out of the casket. Victor took command of the systems, but was unable to charge the box. But Flash said he could do it. The ship says it's not a good idea to light the box. Aquaman says to abort the mission. But in the original one, it was Diana who was more not wanting to bring back Superman. In this version, it's Aquaman who's not. An electrical charge goes through the box and unlocks a Doomsday vision. We see Darkseid on a throne, Wonder Woman dead on a pyre of fire, and Darkseid attacking the Atlanteans and him teaming up with Superman. The Flash runs and charges the box as well as reversing time slightly. The mother box blew a hole in the roof and it landed on a vehicle elsewhere. Superman flew out of the ship and saw his memorial. The group, all but Batman, stand in front of him just like in the original. And just like in the original, it goes south and Cyborg's body forces him to fire a gun. The fight is slightly different, but longer with just slightly different angles. And there's also a scene where the Superman starts attacking the police, and then Batman actually shows up for this fight. And then Lois stops Batman from getting killed. And Lois and Superman fly off together. Steppenwolf comes into a portal to get the Mother Cube. He then goes into the building because that's where it was taken by Silas, who locks himself in a room with it. Silas tries to destroy the mother box, but fails while still killing himself in the process. The team goes to help Victor, who's stricken with grief by not saving his father. It appears that Silas was trying to destroy the box, but in actuality, he was trying to have a heat signature that could be tracked on the box. Now it is the final part of the movie, part 6, other than the epilogue. Clark and Lois go to the Kemp family farm. They go through some things at the house and get him a shirt. Clark remembers more about his life after Lois reminds him more. The group arrives at the Batcave to track the box and come up with a strategy to separate the boxes, which is done by getting Victor into the box and using his abilities to separate them. Clark walks through the field of the farm. Clark sees Lois with the ring and says, "I take that as a yes." Clark is fully back and remembers everything. They kiss and embrace. Martha shows up and hugs Clark and Lois. Superman says he has to find the group and find out why they brought him back. Steppenwolf has all 3 boxes in the original Justice League. The group finds the location of the boxes and travels there. Aquaman tells how scared he is because he was on Diana's lasso. Both those scenes, well, the first scene, it's different, and then the lasso scene just didn't happen at all in the Snyder cut. And then the ending scene is pretty much the same, and you'll see it's not too different. And then the last bit there is just the epilogue of the movie, and it's the same too. Arthur and Barry talk about how it's not fair that Victor has to go up to a strong piece of technology while he's still grieving his father's death. Bruce tells Diana about the premonition he had of Barry going to tell him that Lois is the key. Diane said she was to Superman, but Bruce fears that there is more to it than that. Cyborg fixed the airplane, so now that they are able to go to the boxes, Bruce told Alfred that Superman will be here, and he knows it. Steppenwolf put the boxes together and said to be prepared for his arrival. Bruce explains they have to destroy the shield to get through and separate the boxes. The group has their plan and has it set. Superman goes to the Fortress of Solitude and puts on a new black suit. The group gets dressed and ready to fight Steppenwolf and retrieve the mother boxes. Bruce tells them to stick to the plan no matter what they see. Bruce flies the ship to try and destroy the shields. He knocks the towers down by the parademons go to attack them, and the shield's knocked down. The rest of the group go down to the box where the parademons go to attack Bruce, but he is inside the Batmobile where he drives it around and shooting at them. The parademons get into the Batmobile and attack, but Wonder Woman saves Batman. He drives through the building and Arthur hops on, and then he jumps to attack a lot of demons in the air where he is caught by Cyborg. The action is similar among the scene. The main difference is the color of the sky. The Batmobile crashes, but Bruce has an ejector seat where he attacks more parademons. He then uses the enemy's turn against them. Superman shows up to Alfred to show he's back. Alfred just hopes he isn't too late for the fight. The ejector seat scene was not in the original. And neither was the Superman hoping it wasn't too late. Cyborg and Aquaman show up where the cubes are and where Steppenwolf is. Steppenwolf's eyes turn blue. Cyborg uses his blast to blast Steppenwolf. Wonder Woman and Aquaman both attack Steppenwolf. While Cyborg tries to separate the boxes, Flash had his charge built up, but Cyborg got captured because he could be ready. Wonder Woman uses her blast to try and help Victor. Steppenwolf tells Wonder Woman that he killed her mother, and Wonder Woman called her out on her lie. Cyborg got back up to the cubes. Flash said he couldn't hold his lightning for much longer. Steppenwolf was swinging his axe at Cyborg when Superman showed up and prevented him from killing Cyborg. Superman and Wonder Woman, as well as Aquaman, working together to defeat Steppenwolf. Barry gets shot and loses his lightning that he had built up, and that the cubes are almost synchronized. A portal appears with Darkseid on the other side. They were unsuccessful, and the cube became one. They lost, and Barry, talking to himself, said the only way to fix it is to break the speed of light, which is a rule that he had set for himself never to do. He goes back in time before the cube. This causes Victor to have a dream sequence of his family. He and Superman together separate the boxes. Steppenwolf tries to attack the team, but Aquaman stabs him in the chest. Wonder Woman then beheads him. Then Darkseid steps on his head. The Darkseid portal closes, and Darkseid tells Desaad to ready the Armada for an attack, and that they are going on the ship together towards Earth. In the epilogue, in the original one, Martha gets her house back. Barry got a job at working for CSI, and Bruce has his house to make a headquarters for the Justice League. The first post-credit scene is a race between Superman and the Flash, which is not in the Snyder cut. Second post-credit scene is Lex Luthor brings Deathstroke onto his boat to talk about creating their own team. Cyborg fixes the tape recorder that his dad left for him. His dad says how proud he is of him. Arthur goes to leave and sees his father. Ryan is now the head of Star Labs. Bruce sets up building for the Hall of Justice. Henry is proud because Barry got a job at a CSI lab. Bruce got the house back from Martha. Batman went back to Gotham. Diana goes to Amazonian Shrine. Lex Luthor tries to help Deathstroke on a mission to kill Batman by telling him that his name is Bruce Wayne. Sometime later, we see parademons flying over a barren landscape. This is all of a sudden. Batman tells Cyborg the coast is clear. Something happened to Arthur, according to Mira, because Mira is with him. Deathstroke is also teaming up with him as well as the Flash. We hear a cackle that came from the Joker, who says Batman knows what it's like to lose someone, like an adoptive son. Joker said that he is needed because he let her die. Joker offers him a truce that to break all he has to do is rip up the card that Joker gave him. But if he does, he will tell him his thoughts on letting the boy wonder do his job, which meant him dying. Batman said that when he held Harley Quinn, he promised that he would kill the Joker. Superman shows up in his original suit, and Bruce wakes up from his dream. He goes back upstairs to his door, and he sees the green alien at the door, and the green alien says that that they need to find the anti-life sooner or later. The alien says that his name is Martian Manhunter, and he will be in touch. My takeaways from each version: Justice League sexualized women a lot. Like, the camera angles were very sexualizing to women. It had bad CGI, but the movie wasn't terrible, and it was fun and lighthearted. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, it leaves you wanting more, but the CGI was decent. It answered a lot of questions that I had. It was funny and dark, but it had a different focus. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you.